Hi, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everybody. So, I welcome all of you to this day two of my time, which is the time between the World Meditation Day to International Day of Yoga. So, today I am joining from Bangalore. I'm Prithvi, and I'm really excited for the day two of my time. This is the time which is actually meant to be with our own selves and for our personal growth and for, to actually prioritize ourselves. Topic of the day, which is science of meditation. So, to take us through this topic, we have a special speaker for the day, which is Rakesh Jalumane. And Rakesh is an entrepreneur, a former delivery director at Cognizant, and now he is a trustee at Buddha CEO Quantum Foundation. So very happy to have you, sir. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Hey.
Welcome to my time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
So we are
Everybody, yes.
really, really excited to learn the science. We have been meditating since 2 days now. Today is the third day that we meditated, and we have learned how to meditate. But we are really wanting to know why we are using this and what is the science behind it. So please take us through it, sir.
Sure. Wonderful. Yes, it's so simple to learn, isn't it? You just need 2 minutes to learn this technique called breath mindfulness meditation or anapanasati. Hope this is visible. I'm grateful to Brahmarshi Patriji for bringing this simple technique of meditation because he showed that this meditation technique can be there for everybody. But more importantly, he said this is actually a very, very scientific practice. Because for me, that was important. I was a professional, lot of analytical mind, and I was always looking at ways to see how things happen because my analytical mind had to be satisfied. Because beyond that, with meditation, we go beyond it. So let's understand this first about how our mind works, right? So most of us, when we are to our day-to-day activities, we have a very, very restless mind. Restless mind leads to a lot of negative thoughts. Some deadline at work or something at home, there's something to be done at home, and then there's so much, but at the same time, you have some other priority that needs to be taken care of. You become mind becomes restless and you start thinking, oh, can this happen? Why is this happening? Why is this happening only to me? So a restless mind is a full of negative thoughts. Okay, so my colleague got promoted. What about me? What did I do? I had put in so much of effort. Why is this not happening to me? But most important, while this negative thoughts we all are aware, it's also a limiting mind. Limiting mind is something that stops us to live our life fully. In so much of our beliefs that, okay, I am only this, I can only do that. I'm not good at public speaking, cannot be a good presenter, I cannot sing. I love music, but that's it. I'm, past this age, I can't sing anymore. Can't learn something new. How many of you have heard of it? Become old, so I can't learn. This is it. This is my way of living. So this limiting belief is something that stops us to live our life fully. So let's understand how our brain works, right? just so that when we understand what happens when meditation. So our brain has three parts. First, which is the bigger part, what is probably unique in the human beings, is called the neocortex, the conscious mind, where we see, we hear, we learn, all these five senses that we experience this life with, all are part of the neocortex. This is the conscious mind, responsible for our conscious thoughts, thinking, decision making, all of that is learning languages. All this part of this big part of the brain called neocortex, and responsible for all our conscious thinking. While this is the biggest part, the least used part of our brain is this. The second, and this is probably most relevant when we talk about our mind, is the limbic brain, or the emotional or the feeling brain. Also a long memory the brain that is responsible for long-term memory. All our emotions are captured here. A lot of our memories, past experiences, the beliefs that we carried, all of it becomes part of this limbic. Such a small portion of our brain. Yet 90 to 95% of our life we live through this brain. Because the reptilian brain is responsible for all our autonomous systems like breathing, the breathing, the heartbeats, all of it, right? So whatever that is, sometimes we call it as an unconscious mind, spiritual terms. So now the conscious mind, that neocortex, we have 12 to 50,000 thoughts every day. When we talk about restless mind, all this, all this thinking that we keep doing, we may not be aware of it. But research has shown that we do 12 to 50,000 thoughts every day. 80 to 95% of it is either negative or repetitive. Start going to work in the morning, I start driving, somebody just cuts you off, and then you start thinking, I'm so late already, there's so much of traffic, and why is this person coming and disturbing me? Doesn't he know that he cannot be interfering? Doesn't he know driving? I'm already late. My boss has been telling about this yesterday, and now this person has come. I'll be late, and you start repeating this, and that incident doesn't go off your mind even when you reach office, probably even later in the night, because you start telling your friends, "Oh, today morning, you know what happened? That person, he was so rude. He just came in. He started, interfering. I got late because of this person, and my day is gone." That one incident, but you keep repeating either in your mind or you start talking about it. So the restless mind is responsible for all this negative and repetitive. We keep repeating past incidents. Now, the limbic brain, which is responsible for all our long-term memory, right? It's also the subconscious mind. And this is where we carry all our beliefs. Beliefs that we carry about ourselves, about things around us. An incident would have happened in the past. Your boss would have said, this is not right. And you would have created a meaning for it, saying that, hey, that boss is not right. He's always biased. You carry that belief. Every interaction with your boss, you'll start telling, hey, this boss never is fair. Even if there is a genuine opportunity to learn from that critique, We lose it because we start creating that filter from our belief. So the beliefs that we carry in this limbic brain, runs our life. 90% of what we live happens through this limbic brain. So let me just talk about this little more. For any change, any transformation that we need to have, we have to change our thoughts and beliefs. Everything that we operate out of. Quantum physics, we say 99.9999% is energy. We are energy. And that energy field is full of infinite potentials, infinite possibilities. Everything that we create for ourselves starts with our thought. You want to build a house, first you start thinking, I want to have a house. And then you start attracting, or you start creating from there. The actions come out of it. The thoughts leads to feelings, which feels, okay, this is right for me. I really want to build a house. I want to experience this. You want to start saying, okay, now how do I do it? I start finding actions. Okay, I go looking at the properties. I start looking at who is the best builder. So the thoughts lead to feelings, leads to actions, and which further creates new thoughts. So any reality that we want to create starts with a thought. Now, if most of our thought is negative and repetitive, what happens? Our life will continue to be the same. I want to be the leader. I want to be the best person that I can be. I want to learn music. Now, if we have to change our reality around us, first thing that we have to do is change our thought. Change our thought, we have to change our belief. If the belief that we carry is, I can't learn, I'm already 30-year-old, 35, 40-year-old. There's no way I can learn. I don't have time. That's a belief. I used to think when they started this program, and the program said every day we have to spend 75 minutes. I used to think, where will I get my time? I don't have time. I work from morning 8 to midnight, the global team. Where will I get time? I have absolutely no time for meditation. But friends, now I realize time is something that we can create for ourselves. Meditation actually helps you gain more time. So any change that we want to create for ourselves, first we have to change our thought and belief. And that's why it's important. When we start practicing important, we come with an open mind to learn. So what happens with meditation? Now, with meditation, we empty our mind. You would have learned about it. So when we empty our mind, we start slowly detaching from all these past beliefs. These beliefs are formed based on our past experiences. For example, I carried this public speaking phobia, so called. I couldn't speak in front of 10 people, except for my team people whom I know, and that too only subjects that I knew. I couldn't speak in front of 10 people because somewhere in my younger days, I was trying to sing in front of people and somebody made fun of me. fun of that. They may not have even made fun of me, but I carried it so personally, saying that, hey, I cannot do things in public. I'll be made fun of. That belief was so strong that I carried that all my life and said, this is true for any public speaking. So the past experiences which are stored in the limbic brain, and meditation slowly starts working on those limbic brain, starts reprogramming, that's changing those deep subconscious beliefs. Once we start clearing our mind from all those past experiences, meditation helps us to do that. To reprogram them, next step is to reprogram them. You have to bring in new beliefs. You have to create new beliefs. That comes from wisdom. Start learning new books, new wisdom. Today, when I say you need I sleep only for 4 hours. The belief we carry that we need 8 hours of sleep every day. And you say, oh, is it possible? So when you gain a new wisdom, you remove your old belief, start creating from a new wisdom, you start reprogramming. Oh, it's possible. I can create my own reality. So the meditation plus wisdom transforms our thoughts and beliefs. Second aspect of how meditation helps. One, by reprogramming our beliefs, as I mentioned. Second, research has shown meditation actually physically and physiologically transforms our brain. Typically, we say we are operating either as a logical person or a creative person. How many of you have carried that belief that I'm either an analytical person or a creative person? I can be good at understanding, analyzing data, but I cannot be good at singing, dancing, all of that. I cannot be creative because there is a belief that being carried around saying that only we operate with one part of the brain. Part of the brain is analytical. The other part is responsible for creative activities. Now, research has shown, and this is a research by Sarah Laser, a neuroscientist based out of Harvard, US. She did a landmark study in 2005 and looked at how meditation is impacting our brain. People started saying there's a lot of changes that happens. She actually went ahead and did that study, and she found out that when people who practice meditation regularly for at least 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, she studied people who did this practice for about 6 to 8 weeks and found the neocortex part of the brain actually and many parts of the brain actually increased in size, changed in the size of the neural structure, physiologically, physically. But more importantly, what she found was there is something called corpus callosum that connects the two part of the brain, the brain that is responsible for where we use most when we are analyzing, analytical thinking, learning, and all of it, versus the creative part of the brain. What she found, the connection between two hemispheres of the brain started becoming stronger, not just the neocortex, but the connection, this corpus callosum also increased in size. The connection between the two hemispheres strengthened. So what does that mean? People who practice meditation starts using their whole brain, become more efficient in how they work. Priji said, yoga karmasa kaushalam. You become excellent through meditation because we use the whole faculties of our brain. Can hear many meditation practitioners taking up new art form. They may be good engineers or good analytical thinking professionals, but they start taking up art form, creative work, and not just creative work from art, but at work you start becoming a lot more creative. And there's a science behind it, because physically the brain changes. The second study, and this is an important finding from this research, is the limbic brain, as I was talking about, which is responsible for both our long-term memory as well as our emotions. Same part called amygdala, sometimes called as a fear center, because when there is a lot of stress, when there is a lot of fear, this part of the brain becomes very active. Stop thinking. How many of you have felt this? Suddenly there is a highly emotive situations. Suddenly you stop thinking, you start reacting, you start shouting, and or you could have many reactions to it. You either withdraw or start fighting. There may be no apparent reason, but suddenly, just for you, you start reacting. That's because of this amygdala, because there is this fear center which starts creating the flight or fight response for us. Now, the study that Sarah Laser did, she found for long-term meditators, people, when I say long-term, people who practice regularly, at least 6 to 8 weeks, this part of the brain actually starts shrinking. So when I started experiencing this, I started losing fear about my future. The company that I wanted to start, where I was, fearing what will happen, I started realizing, experiencing, I no longer had that fear. And the reason I realized was this: meditation helps us to bring that fear down. And there's a physical change that happens. And the other aspect, it increases what is called as hippocampus, the long-term memory portion of our brain. People start remembering. You would have seen students telling, I can learn more. I remember a lot more. So meditation physically and physiologically changes our brain, friends, which creates a positive impact in our working. And that it also, the studies have shown, let me show you the second part, this brain waves. Our brain operates in various frequencies. When you're now listening to me speaking, you probably are in a beta state where you are focused when we are working in our day-to-day life. We are attentive. We probably are operating in beta state. We are awake fully. While this is neither positive or negative, it helps us to operate in an awake state. But most of us, we are operating in the high beta state. When somebody comes and cuts you off in traffic, you move into high beta stress. You are continuing to think about that incident, continue to think about what will happen to me, what will boss say, continue to stay in that high beta state. That stress, of course, leads to many health conditions. But what happens when we practice meditation? We slowly move from state of beta to alpha state. These are slower brain frequencies. The alpha frequency helps us to be a lot more positive, more relaxed, but more importantly, a learning state. We are able to absorb more. You finished your meditation, you probably are more into alpha state. That's why meditators says, I can learn more. 70-year-old, 80 years old, age doesn't matter. People start learning more things. Chandra Pulmar, the founder and my mentor of Udhasya Quantum Foundations, his mother, at the age of 70, she started learning music. Because meditation helps us to move into alpha state. Of course, many have experienced this already. When you wake up or just about to sleep, if you have good sleep, you typically move into this alpha state. A lot of people, we would have heard about this. You get up early, your parents would have told you. Get up early, you study, you'll learn more. Because that is our natural state when we have no thought. Now, meditation helps us to move this naturally. A great book to understand this is called Mind to Matter by Dawson Church. When we move to alpha state, we start learning, but there is better states that we access with meditation too. Next, or the other state that we also go into is called the theta frequencies, theta waves. These theta waves are slower, but also helps us to bring a lot of creative insights to our solutions. How many have felt you had some problem at work or problem that you were deeply thinking? Go to sleep. Next day morning, suddenly you have ideas. Because when we go into theta states, there's a lot of creative insights that we can get. Problem that you would have never imagined, you start thinking in a different way. Because this theta waves is very beneficial, and meditation naturally moves us into these states. The third way, which are also beneficial, is called the delta waves. As we go deeper and deeper into meditation, we go into this delta state. Delta state is highly healing. Doctors have always said, you want to heal, have a great sleep. If you don't have good sleep, the deep sleep, non-REM sleep, it's difficult to heal. Because at these frequencies, we allow our body to heal completely. And the fourth state, friends, and which is unique when you practice meditation, is called the gamma state. And this gamma state is a highly flow state. People, how many, you may have heard, or I'm sure others are tell, sincere practitioners of meditations, at times when they want to do something, they are fully engrossed in it. They forget everything. They forget to eat, forget to sleep, because they're so much into flow state. A lot of creative ideas, everything starts flowing. They enjoy it completely. They're so immersed in it. Highly performance, go into that peak performance state called the gamma state. With meditation, you can access this. So, friends, some of this we may be occasionally accessing, if you're not practicing meditation, because of course, when you have a good sleep, when you're stress-free sleep, some of these frequencies we naturally experience. But what studies have shown, with meditation, you start naturally accessing these states. Do I have some more time?
Sir, we are up with 6 minutes. You can still go on, sir.
Yes, I just want to cover this important aspect because this is a important when you want to understand the science behind meditation and how things happen. We all have experienced or seen this, right? So people who practice meditation regularly are very calm, they experience less stress. But how does that happen? Typically, when we get into a stressful state, there's a deadline, that's something that needs to be, get something to get done, or there is danger, a customer you have to meet, you have to meet a customer who is very angry. There is a lot of stress. We don't know what is going on. Suddenly, our mind starts behaving like fight or flight mode. We start preparing, brain starts preparing us to either fight or flight. Because in the animals, typically, when there is danger, what happens? You either fight or you run away. Called as a fight or a flight mode. Now, this is good when there is a real danger, when there is a dog barking at you, trying to, bite you. There is a physical, real danger. So what happens when that danger is there? You have to either run or fight. And to run or fight, what does it needed? Your muscles needs to be strengthened. You don't have to digest at that time. You don't need to have immunity at that time. But important that you have enough strength to either run or fight. So our brain starts generating a chemical called cortisol, the hormone cortisol, which builds a lot of strength to our muscles. A lot of blood flow goes into these muscles. Now, when the danger is past, our natural state would be to move back to our normal state where you move away from the fight or flight mode. But as I said, we start continuing to ruminate on those incidents. We continue to be on that high beta stress or that fight or flight mode because we continue to have these negative and repetitive thought, and we continue to be in the negative state, stressful state. So what happens? Cortisol continues to stay in the body. If that happens, a lot of our conditions like immunity goes down because at that point in time, it is meant to be like that. You don't need to have digestion. You don't need to have immunity. You don't need to fight diseases at that time. Now, with meditation, what happens? Something called parasympathetic nervous systems, which is meant to bring back the balance in our body, gets activated. We stop thinking about that incident and we go back to that normal state. The parasympathetic nervous system gets activated and we go back to our normal mode, which brings back immunity. The thymus gland, which is responsible, starts working properly. Our digestion starts going back to normal state. Feel good chemical starts getting produced, like oxytocin, dopamine. All of these feel good chemical starts getting produced when you start practicing meditation. So friends, there's so much of study, because all of this is important to understand that meditation, how meditation helps transform us physically. But end of the day, the practice is what is important. For people like me who were analytical, understanding this helped to cross that analytical barrier. There is so much of research. Best thing to do is start reading more books that you can get over this. Great talking to you today.